Ladies and gentlemen, it is rebuild time yet again, and today we are taking our talents to Austria to rebuild Rapid Wien. Now, I will say, if we take a look at their current club achievements, they are one-time winner of the Bundesliga and one-time winner of the DFB Pokal in 1938 and 1941 respectively. The less said about that, probably the better. But they are 32-time winners of the Austrian Bundesliga. However, they haven't won that since 2008. So we thought they are prime for a rebuild. Now, if we go into the tactic for today's video, this is what we'll be running. We'll be running the GYR Diamond Geezer. Now, people are going to say, Steve, why are you using this particular GYR tactic? And the answer is simple. It finished bottom of our GYR FM Tactic Tester League. So I wanted to prove to you guys that it's still a very good, valid tactic, and you can win matches with it. So this is the team, this is the tactic, and we are going to be doing the following and pinning these guys in to their particular positions for the season. Now, Casillas is going to be our wingback on the right-hand side. He's more of a winger predominantly, but we're going to play him as that right back. But just because he's young, the assistant manager may not always select him in that position, so we'll be pinning him in there. Same with Jonas Ayew. He can play left back. But just to confirm that he's going to be there, we will be pinning him in position as well. I actually think he has the potential to be a very good left back, especially with that 17 crossing. Again, we're just kind of looking after some of the younger players in the team in this particular instance. Leopold Queerfield looks like a good little player as well. 18 years of age, 6'3". He is like the budget Giorgio Scalvini, in my opinion. High potential as well on the guy, so I think he can go on to do good things for the team. Nice high determination and stuff like that as well. And the last player is Nicholas Kuhn, who is going to be the central attacking midfielder for us. He is a converted winger. We are going to be playing him as the central striker as well. He has 16 pace, 16 acceleration, so you can see he's very much suited to being a winger, but we don't have wingers in this diamond, so we are going to be pushing him into this central attacking midfield spot. And then obviously we do have the goalkeeper as well, Nicholas Heidel. So he's going to be our first choice keeper. Young, that's the basis of the team. That is the premise. In terms of the team and the Bundesliga and stuff like that, if you go into the competitions tab, actually no, let's go into the Bundesliga first. You can see the previous winners. RB Salzburg, Rapid Wien coming very close on multiple occasions, but haven't won a title since 2007-2008. Therefore, primed for a rebuild, and that is going to be our main objective, is to overthrow the Red Bull franchise in Austria. Obviously, Haaland's been here. Number of other world-class talents have come through this team, so it's going to be interesting to see how we do compete against them. Rapid Wien are in the Europa Conference League, guys. We do have to qualify for that in the first season. We are into the second qualifying round, where we will take on this team, Vlazina, maybe, if I'm saying that correctly, from Albania. And then obviously we do have the cup as well. The board expectation in the cup is to reach that quarter-final, and then in the Bundesliga they want us to finish inside the top 3 places. And if we have a look at the season preview, we are 18-1 to win the title. We only have one player in that Media Dream 11, which is Marco Gruhl. He is not going to be playing as a winger. He's probably going to end up playing up front, but he is our only representative in this team. We are 18-1 to win the title. RB Salzburg are 2-9. So they are very much the favourites to get the job done. Let's simulate through season number 1 and see how we can get on. Okay guys, so this is the competitions tab for season number 1. As you can see, we finished in second behind RB Salzburg, and I'm sure you're looking at the points differential and saying, Steve, what happened? How did you only get 37 points? Well, basically halfway through the season, it splits into a championship group and a relegation group, and your points get cut in half. Therefore, the difference between ourselves and RB Salzburg looks worse than it probably is. We had 8 losses all season. They only had the 2. One of them was against us in the championship group, but they finished on 52 points. We finished on 37. If we take a look at things, though, we got into the 4th qualifying round of the Europa Conference League, where unfortunately we lost to this team from the Czech Republic, which is actually rather disappointing. You'd like to think that we would have got through. We lost on penalties. If we expand the second leg, you can see here, finished 2-1 on the night, finishing 4-4 on aggregate, and as you can see, 2 of our players missing the penalties in the shootout, all 4 names slotting for the team from the Czech Republic. So European performance disappointing at this stage, I will say. We did get to the semi-finals of the Cup, to be honest, but then we did lose, unfortunately, to SK Austria, which is a problem. We shouldn't be losing to teams like that. And then Salzburg go on into the final and absolutely pump SK Austria. Klagenfurt, is that how you say that? Absolutely pump them. Benjamin Sesko doing Benjamin Sesko things in the division. At least he's leaving. At least he's leaving at the end of the season. That's the main thing. In terms of our team, if we go into the hometown, Marco Grul got off to a flyer. As I said, he is a winger predominantly, but he is playing as a striker for us. He got 31 goals and 5 assists in all competitions, so good return from him. He is now wanted by Lens, Bayern Leverkusen and Schalke, though, so that's going to be interesting to see how that does go. But the disparity in the Bundesliga table is a little bit of a nightmare. As you can see, we were 6 points behind at the halfway stage, and then going into the championship group, we were quite a ways off as well. So we're going to have to try and strengthen for the next season. If we take a look at the finances, that's going to be quite difficult. We have £1.29 million to spend in trying to improve this team, and we've got around 60k in terms of our wage budget per week. So hopefully we can attract some nice players to this team for season number 2. So going into the transfer update for season number 2, and this is the business that we have conducted. 1.3 million spent in total, and we brought ourselves in 4 new players, which we're hoping that can really improve this team. Ahmet is the person who I'm going to talk about first and foremost. He is the centre back that we signed on a free transfer. He is Austrian by nationality, 24 years of age, 6'1", looks like a solid option, left-footed as well, so can actually play on that side, can also play in defensive midfield if completely required. So hopefully he comes in on a free transfer. It seems like a good bit of business as well. Saman Gurus is another player who we've picked up, an Iranian international, 29 years of age, comes from Brentford, can play on the left, can play as a central attacker midfielder, and can also play as a striker, which is most likely where he's going to play in this particular team. He's a leading player in our Bundesliga, and he's also relatively decent at free kick taking and versatile and consistent and all of those good things as well. So he comes in on a free transfer after being released by Brentford. Next up is Nishan Burkhardt, who we've actually paid some money for. Swiss player coming in to play as a backup striker, but he is fast, ladies and gents. He has got 16 pace and 18 acceleration, and we paid 575k for his services from Freiburg. He apparently was at Manchester United in his career. This is not a player that I have heard of. Apologies, Nissan. Thank you very much. And then we move into the last player, which is Damian Dabrowski, who is a Polish international. He's got 1 cap. I'm calling him a Polish international. He's 30 years of age, can play in 2 of the key positions in this diamond. So hoping to add a little bit of steel here because he's got nice teamwork, nice work rate, nice vision and stuff like that. Hoping he can be a good positive addition for us. He's had a long career. Didn't really play too much last season. He comes in for 725k. Seems like a bit of a steal to play in a number of positions. And Leon Schuster was the only outgoing on a free transfer. So this is what we're going to do this season, guys. We're going to lock in these front 3. Nicholas Kuhn alongside Marco Grul and Gados are going to be the main ones as the front 3, because I don't think the assistant manager would pick these 3 as that front 3. So we're going to lock these boys in. And just so you guys know, you do that when you go onto my profile, go on holiday, and then when you go on holiday, tick this second box here to use the current team selection when possible. If we go into the competitions tab, obviously where we did finish second, we qualify for the Champions League qualification, which is really good. We enter in the 3rd qualifying round, so hopefully we can actually qualify for the competition properly this time rather than finding a disappointing exit to the competition. We have the cup as well. The board wants us to reach to the quarter-final stage in that one as well, and the board wants us to finish in the top 3 places in the Austrian Bundesliga. Now, if we take a look at things and take a look at that season preview, RB Salzburg are still the favourites to win the title by quite a considerable margin. They are now 1-10. They do still have some very good players in here. I'm looking at the likes of Omar Solé, Stranja Pavlovic is a very good player as well, as is Nicolas Capaldo, Nicolas Sewell. They're very good as well. Okafor on the wing as well. They have a plethora of talent. This is very good for this division. We are 20-1 to win the title. We are predicted to finish in 3rd. So let's get through season 2 and see how we get on. Before we talk about the results for Season 2, I need to talk to you about some January additions that we did make to the squad. Now, you can see there are several players that have come in the January, some of them on freebies, some of them on loans. I want to touch about the loans. Dario Saric is another player who comes in on loan from Palermo to bolster that midfield. He came in on loan for the rest of the season. We also picked up Tom Cannon on loan from Everton as a backup striker option. We also picked up Nigel Lonwick is how I'm going to probably kill this guy's name. He is a centre-back. He came in on loan from Wolves, as well as the free transfers to talk about. So there are a few new names that were added in January. So, obviously, we did better in the competitions, right? If we go over to the competitions tab, the answer is no, we actually got worse. We did finish in third in season number 2, which is really disappointing. However, the gap between ourselves and RB Salzburg was a little bit closer. It's only 11 points this time around. So I'm hoping we can kind of build on that going into season number 3. RB Salzburg get themselves another title. SV Ried finish in second, which is disappointing. We probably should have beaten them. However, we did lose one of these games. Oh, was it to them as well? Was it to them? It was. That was the deciding factor. Devastating. We had a little bit of a ropey run towards the end of the season, guys, as you can see. Once it split into the championship group, we only picked up 4 victories, 4 defeats as well, and 2 draws, which is really, really disappointing. But hopefully, as I said, there is something to build on here for next season in terms of closing that gap on RB Salzburg. Champions League, we got to the 3rd round of qualifying this time, where we were knocked out by Rangers. To the guys from Scotland, Innes Haji and James Tavernier with the goals. At Ibrox saw them go through. We were disappointing in that one, but Rangers, I think the disparity in our club's wage budgets is probably apparent. There were some big teams in here as well, obviously PSV, Rennes, Sporting, all in there that we could have got. That did mean we went into the Europa League, guys, and I will talk about the Europa League run because I really don't want to talk about the cup run because we got knocked out in the second round. If we go and have a look at the cup run for the Europa League, whoa, this is how we got through. So in our group, we were in Group E. We had Rennes, Bodo Glimt and Lugano as a team from Switzerland as well. So we took on these boys. We got ourselves through in that group. As you can see, we finished in second behind Rennes. And then we took on the big brother to the team in our division. We took on RB Leipzig, and the disparity here was quite apparent. They managed to knock us out 8-1 on aggregate in that first knockout round. As I said, if you felt like we were struggling with RB Salzburg, RB Leipzig, a very different proposition. Andre Silva scored a hat-trick in that first leg, and then if you look at the second one, you can see Timo Werner got 2, Christopher Nkunku got 1, and Emil Smith-Rowe. The disparity is quite apparent. It is quite apparent. So that's how our European exploits happened this season, and we'll be in the Conference League for season number 3 because we finished in 3rd in our respective domestic division. If we go onto the home screen, you can kind of see Nicholas Kuhn as kind of really taken off for us, really. 19 goals and 7 assists for him, playing as that shadow striker. He is now a natural in that position, despite the fact that he has got a bit slower. He is wanted by Lecce as well, which is rather disappointing because I'd like to keep hold of our good players if we possibly can and move and develop them into season number 3. Season number 3, though, let's talk money. We don't have a lot of it. This is Austria, of course. So 745k in terms of our transfer budget, and we've got ourselves around 40 grand a week in terms of our wage budget. It's going to be difficult to improve this team for season number 3, but have the faith. I think we can do it. So we've been out and we've spent ourselves 180k, but I do think we've made this team better. If you look at one of the outgoings, we've had one of the outgoings on a 64k loan deal, and we've spent hardly any money on the incoming. So let's talk about the players that we have signed. Linga is a player, I'm going to say, Czech Republic international, 25 years of age from Slavia Prague. He comes into the team again to play in that central attacking midfield position. We've also signed Cameron Devlin, the Australian international, 26 years of age. He is out of Hearts. Mentally looks fantastic. High aggression, high anticipation, bravery, determination, work rate, teamwork, fantastic. Just what we want is a natural in 2 of the positions in our diamond, and we picked him up on on a free transfer from Hearts. He almost averaged a 7 last year for Hearts, so I think that's a very good pickup. Quinton is another player who comes in. He's hopefully going to be our starting choice right back moving forward. He's a good player at this particular level, and I'm hoping he can kind of kick on to be a good player. He came in on a free transfer. Anderson is another player, another new fullback. You can kind of see where we're trying to strengthen this time around. He comes into play as our starting choice left back. He's also high pace as well. Merrick Havlik comes in, another central midfielder, this time more of a defensive option, can play centre mid, can also play DM. Again, another Czech Republic international. You can see where we're going shopping here, but he's a little bit more creative rather than on the defensive side. Even though he plays as a DM, he's much more of a segundo volante than he is a halfback or an anchor. Then we move into Simeone Canstrelli, another centre-back option, 6'4", looks like a bit of a unit, to be honest. 16 jumping reach as well, big W. He comes in on a free. Looks like he's been on at Empoli and then been on a few loans this time around, or have we? No, we've signed him from Pisa. No? Yeah, we signed him from Pisa. There you go. After being released. And then the last player is Pavel Brucha. He looks like a good goal-scoring central attacker midfielder if I've ever seen one. High dribbling, high first touch, nice finishing as well, solid off the ball. I think he could be a good option for us. As I said, star player in the division, but despite not being capped by the Czech Republic at international level. If we go into the team, this is kind of how I'm piecing it together this time around. Queerfield has moved into the back line. He is now a defensive option rather than a defensive midfielder option, because I think we have a few different bodies to go in these particular positions, and I'm actually quite confident with the team this time around. I think we can go on to do good things. In terms of the competitions, I did mention we are back into the Conference League, which is going to be interesting. We do have to qualify for that one. We are going into the third qualifying round for that one. They also, the board wants us to get to the quarterfinals of the Cup. We've been relatively disappointing in the Cup, to be honest. You'd like to think we'd at least get to the final, being one of the best 2 teams in the country, but it hasn't happened for us just yet, and they want us to finish in the top 3 places in the Bundesliga, which if we go into the season preview, you can see we are now the second favourites to win the division. We were 20-1 last season. We are now 12-1, so I think the media are predicting us to actually be a little bit better, but RB Salzburg are still the clear favourites, 1-5 to win the division, so we still have some work to do. Let's get season 3 done and dusted and see how we get on. So guys, here we have season number 3, and this is how we are looking. We did reclaim that second position back in the league. However, RB Salzburg were much better than we were, which is really disappointing, but I'll talk about that in just a second. We got to the round of 16 in the Europa Conference League, where we were beaten by German opposition again. We were knocked out by Mainz, who have my guy Nelson Viper as their striker. If you've not seen some of my rebuilds, he is an absolute beast. I believe I had him in the Hertha Berlin rebuild, and he was very, very good there. I would highly recommend going and checking that out. But yes, we got knocked out by Mainz in the knockout stages of the Europa Conference League, so a nice little European run. Unfortunately, we got to the cup final against RB Salzburg, and we lost on penalties. Marco Gruhl tried his best. He scored a hat-trick in the game, including a 92nd minute goal in extra time. We did go to penalties, and then Gruhl was the man who missed the penalty, which is rather disappointing. But it is what it is. I think there's still a gap there between ourselves and RB Salzburg, but it'll be even better once we finally overtake them. We're going to overtake them, right? Let's talk about the league, though, because this is our bread and butter. If we go into the league and we expand the stages, then you can kind of see here. We finished top of the main league phase, as you can see here. We are 5 points clear of them, only 2 losses in the season. We only conceded 13, but we scored 10 goals less in the main league phase. Then we break it into the championship group, and RB Salzburg continue to dominate in there, but the disparity in goals for and against is massive. We only conceded 3 more goals than them throughout the course of the season. However, we can see we scored over less than 20, which is a problem, showing that we need a new centre forward, in my opinion, and that is where we are going to try and strengthen throughout the course of the season, because this run towards the end of the season is woeful. Look at this. After splitting into the championship group, we only won 2 games this time around. All of these are the championship group fixtures. You can see there several draws, even more losses, and only the 2 victories. So yeah, we really need to work on things, considering we were in in top after the first part of the league phase. So there is hope for season number 4. Let's see if we can build upon that. Obviously, a little bit of a run in Europe has helped us. We've got £1.8 million to spend in terms of our transfer budget, and around 80 to 90k on wages as well. So that's going to be very nice. Hopefully we can bring in some bigger names, because we are going to be back in the Champions League for season number 4. Transfer update for season number 4, and one of our youth prospects has left the club. Yes, Leopold Querfeld has gone to Real Betis for £3 million, which could rise up to 6.5 million quid. As I said, he's gone over to Betis. Hasn't really developed, given the game time that we've given him, hasn't really developed to the level that I was thinking he was capable of. Physically, he looks very good. Mentally, he's all right with 16 positioning, but the marking, the passing, the heading and stuff like that, you'd like to think that that would improve given the amount of game time he's had over the last 3 seasons. He is now capped by Austria, of course, but I think it was the right time to sell him on. In terms of the players to come in, though, Brian Ojea comes in from Nottingham Forest. Again, another central midfield option, nicely well-rounded all across the board. I think he's a good player for the division. He comes in. Mason Holgate is one that people may be more familiar with. He is a new defender for us, obviously after being released by Everton. He comes in to be a new star player for us, still pretty physical, hasn't really played too much for Everton in the Premier League. Lorenzo Parola comes in, again, another free transfer, this time from Inter Milan. He is a centre-back option. He basically replaces Querfeld and departs, and I think he's probably a little bit more of a well-rounded player at this present moment. Played 10 times for Inter, mainly as a starter. I was going to say mainly as a substitute, but he actually started more for Inter last season. He's had loans out to different teams in Italy, and it hasn't really worked out for him, so I'm hoping he can turn a corner here. And I said we needed a striker, and we've signed old man Alexandre Lacazette. I still think he knows where the goal is, and his mind is going to be better. His 16 off the ball is going to be really useful. I'm hoping this guy can find the back of the net for us, because he's consistent. He's still a good player in the division despite being 34 years of age, and he likes his big matches. So I'm hoping Lacazette can be a real good player for us. Obviously, this is the team that we're looking at. These are the kind of options that we've got. This midfield, I'm feeling confident about. I wanted to bring your attention to the midfield. Havlik, Ojea, Busha, and Linga, they look like a good midfield quartet, and I'm hoping they can deliver big things for us in Season 4. If we look at the competitions tab, obviously, we do have the Cup. They want us to reach the semi-finals of the Cup. We were runners-up last time, losing on penalties. I'd like to win it this season if we possibly can. In terms of the Champions League, they want us to reach the league phase, obviously into season 3 and 4 is the league phase, and we do need to qualify for that as well via the qualification round, so hopefully we can get that job done. And then in the Bundesliga, again, they want us to finish inside the top 3 places, and if we look at the season preview this time around, we are now 12-1 to win the title, and RB Salzburg are 1-10, so we are closing the gap slightly, but they still look like the odds-on favourites to get the title themselves for a millionth consecutive season. If we look at that, it's giving me Bayern vibes is what this is doing. It's giving me Bayern Munich vibes. So we are going to simulate through season number 4 and pray that Alexandre Lacazette is the player to take us to the next level. So guys, before we talk again about the competitions, I have some more January transfer news to bring you. We went out and we spent big in January because we were very much in the fight. So I wanted to see if kind of a couple of strengthening options allowed us to take things to the next level, and it looks like it has done, because we picked up this guy. I'm going to go on his full profile. Nikola Stulic comes in from, I believe he was playing in Portugal, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, Belgium, sorry. He was playing in Belgium. Is a Serbian youth international, 24 years of age, seems supremely well-rounded, 6'2", big Serbian presence. Don't forget, he's going to have to get past Dusan Vlahovic to play for his national team. Looks supremely well-rounded, and since we actually brought him in, 14 goals and 6 assists in all competitions in 23 games. You can see why we spent 8 million quid on him. We also brought in Timothy Pembele from PSG on loan to play in that right back position, and he looked like he'd had a good season for us. 4 goals, 4 assists for him, which is nice since joining. And this guy, the jewel in the crown, is another Serbian. Dorde Ivanovic comes in to be our new left back, and now look at this guy for a new gen left back. If you watch my Red Star save, you would have known how difficult fullbacks are to come across in Serbia, and this guy looks like a monster. 6'1", 19 years of age, 2 caps for the Serbian national team, seems supremely well-rounded already, and we picked him up for a cool 1.7 million quid. Now, he is a fullback, he is young, he is going to have to develop, but that is 3 big signings there in January, which tipped us over the top. We managed to take out RB Salzburg. We won ourselves the Austrian Bundesliga in Season 4 with the lowest points total you could possibly imagine. We got 44 points in total, which won us the total season, which is great. In terms of the other competitions, though, runners up again in the Cup. We lost 3 on penalties last season after a 3-3 draw. This time around, we lose 4 goals to 3. RB Salzburg did kind of edge it, to be fair to them, but disappointing that we did go out in that cup final. Back-to-back runners-up is not so sweet here. In terms of the Champions League, we had to qualify, of course. We got to the league playoff where we took on Benfica. Now, Benfica are very good in this year's game if you've not seen them, and they beat us 7-1 on aggregate. As you can see, Goncalo Ramos scored a hat-trick, Andreas Schelderup with a goal as well alongside Rafa. The talent levels are very, very different. So yeah, we got knocked down into the Europa League, where we did get all the way through to the round of 16, where we were knocked out by Lazio. 2 goals from Ciro Immobile and 1 goal from Alex Scott. Now, I was managing Lazio in my network game, twitch.tv/HookGamingUK, for that live FM action, and Ciro Immobile is one of my favourite players. And Alex Scott, I'm a Bristol City fan, so the fact that he's gone to Lazio, I am quite happy with. 17.25 million seems like a steal. He looks like an absolute monster in this particular version of the game. If you've not signed Alex Scott this year, I highly recommend you do so. Ultimately, we won the title. I don't care about the rest of it. We won the title. Yes, that is a W. Let's talk about Lacazette, because I mentioned him about being our goal-scoring hero. He actually got 16 goals and 7 assists for a 34-year-old man. That is older than me, so I can say that. I'm actually quite happy with that as a free transfer, to be perfectly honest. And now we've signed the big Serbian to replace him up top, which is great. Going into the 5th and final season, then we have £1.6 million in that transfer budget, and we've got around 30 to 40 grand in terms of our wage budget for season number 5. I really want to hold on to this Austrian Bundesliga title and break that RB Salzburg stranglehold. Right then, guys, this is the time of the video where I always ask, if you are still watching the video, to please comment something down below. And today, all I want you to comment down below, if you are still here watching right now, is Red Bull. That's all I want to see, just the words Red Bull down below to let me know that you are still here watching this Rapid Wien rebuild going into season number 5. And on the screen right now is the transfer business that we have done. Lucas Provod comes in from Slavia Prague for 64k. Yes, we pillage the teams in Czech Republic for next to no money at all. He's got 10 caps and 1 goal for the Czech Republic national team. 64k comes in. Looks like he's had 4 supremely good seasons in the Czech Republic, and I'm looking forward to him adding to our midfield options. We also signed Vinicius Souza, another midfield option for us. Obviously, there's 4 places in here, and you need to keep them competitive, so bringing in the extra bodies each season is kind of a must. Comes in from Club Brugge. He was on a free transfer. 6'2", 27 years of age, Brazilian. We also signed this guy, Ferran Jutkla is how we're going to butcher this guy's name. Seems like a well-rounded forward as well. Comes in again from Club Brugge, former Barcelona player, don't you forget. 16 off the ball, 16 penalty taking, 15 finishing, nice high bravery. Yeah, I like it. Other than the fact he's 5'9", I think he can do a good job for us. And then Kalulu comes in, another right back option for us, because I haven't really been able to nail down that position as much as I have done with the new gen on the other side of the field. This is the team right here, right now. If I quick pick without restriction our best 11, this is how the champions of Austria are going to line up going into the next season. Nicholas Heidel is a very good goalkeeper, actually. First time using him. Nice reflexes, throwing, command of his area, 15 positioning, nice high jumping reach. He's 6'2". Austria's goalkeeper, wanted by Bayern Munich, no less. I think he could be a good goalkeeper for your saves if you are looking for one. But the rest of the team's looking pretty good. Ivanovic is our star player in the defence. We've got a couple. Provod is good, and Linga is a good option for the central attacker midfielders. And then the big Serbian Nikola Stulic as our main outlets up top. I think we are well-rounded. I think this is the best squad that we've been able to put together in this rebuild. This is how we are predicted to get on in all the competitions. So, guys, reach the semi-finals of the Cup, back-to-back losers in that final. I'd love to win it in Season 5. Champions League, we are in, hopefully going to qualify. We are in the Champions Path playoff. Hopefully, we get a favourable draw and go into that league format, because that would really help the finances for sure. And the board wants us to finish again in the top 3 places, and as champions of Austria, we are now 6-1 to win the title. We are still the second favourites. Lloyd Kelly has arrived at RB Salzburg. Pavlovic is still here. Capaldo, Joe Willock's arrived from Newcastle. So RB Salzburg still have some good bodies in there, and hopefully we can overcome them. Now, come on, boys. Let's go back to back. Okay, back-to-back was a little bit ambitious. I did forget how good RB Salzburg are. They did go back to the top of the Austrian Bundesliga. However, they did set a new record. Last season, we had 44 points, which was the lowest points total to win a title ever. They beat it. 43 points. They only beat us by 3 points this season, which is really disappointing. But RB Salzburg back on top. It was just the one league title for us this time around. We got to this. We got to the quarterfinals of the cup actually, where we were knocked out by Austria Wien. So a bit of a derby there. Relatively disappointing. Yeah, less said about that, the better. Champions League, though, we did get into the league phase. I'll just tell you who we had in these league fixtures, just because I'm sure people are interested. Because we did qualify through Rakow. Nope, Rakow from Poland. We did get past those boys. And then in the league phase for the Champions League, we had Athletic Bilbao, Dortmund, Barcelona, Lazio, Feyenoord, Nice, Real Madrid, and Ajax. Some very difficult games there. We did pick up nice results against Lazio and Feyenoord, but the rest of them were L's. So unfortunately, we did go out in that league phase, as you can see here. We finished on 6 points, which is, as I said, rather disappointing. RB Salzburg just scraping in there with 9. 9 was the cutoff for the knockout stages. They got their 2 victories, which were against Copenhagen and Feyenoord. They also took on Bayern Leverkusen, Celtic and Rennes, Liverpool, Inter and Dortmund. I think we got the shitty end of that stick, to be perfectly honest. But ultimately, I think there's a lot to be positive about with this rebuild. Going into what would be the next season, there's almost about 70k in the wage budget and 3.8 million pounds in that transfer budget. If you did want to carry this rebuild on, I post all my rebuilds in my Discord. Links to that will be down below. Hopefully you can come in, pick up this save and carry it on and take them to the next level and have that sustained beating of RB Salzburg at the top of the Austrian division. And if you do like the rebuild content, guys, check out this playlist popping up right now, which is all the rebuilds that we've done on FM23.